Hey everyone, this is Alexander James Guitars, and on this episode of Fix It Friday, we're going to convert this bass into a fretless. So I've already taken the frets out of this 6-string bass neck, and what I'm going to be doing is gluing Padauk wood veneers in every one of the fret slots. So first off, I just need to make sure that the inside of the fret slot is clean. So I'm just going to take my thin curved fret saw blade here, and I'm just going to go into each one of the fret slots and run that saw just along and make sure it's nice and clean. After that, I'm going to be taking some Padauk wood veneer, cutting it to shape, and then gluing it in. I want to use Padauk veneer that's a little thinner than the kerf cut of the fret slot. The reason being is you need to get wood glue in the fret slots, and the Padauk veneer is most likely going to swell a little bit in the slot. So if you use the same thickness as the slot is cut, it's going to be really hard to get the Padauk veneer in there when there's glue in there. Right now I'm just going to test fit some of this Padauk veneer, measure it, and then cut it to strips so that I have a strip for every single fret slot. I'll just run it in the slot, go back and forth, keep a little bit of overhang on each side, and I'm just going to mark it with a pencil just so I know. I don't know if you can see the pencil line here, but now what I'm going to do is cut that with some scissors, and I will have the first Padauk veneer for my fret slots. Then cut it a little oversized of the actual Padauk veneer from the pencil line because you want to trim that off and flush to the fretboard when it's glued in. Try and cut the line as straight as you possibly can, because you want this to sit in the next fret slot fairly well and not rock back and forth. So you may need to sand the bottom of each of the Padauk veneers so they fit in snug to the bottom of the actual fret slot. When you get the bottom of the Padauk in the slot fit perfectly, it won't rock anymore. Pressing back and forth with my thumb and pointer finger, there's no rocking. Here, this one hasn't been done yet, and you can see how much it rocks. So what you'll need to do is either sand the bottom of that flat or make adjustments where it's rocking, just simply with some scissors, and see if that helps. Much better. And there you go. When they're all in, it's pretty much ready to set up for gluing. For the glue, we're going to have to dilute some glue to get it in there, and we'll insert every single one of the Padauk pieces. First, I'm going to try using Titebond Original, unthinned, and see if I can get it into the slot. So to do that, I'm just going to use a piece of random Padauk veneer. You don't need to worry about the top of the fretboard because after we do this whole fretless conversion, we have to sand the top of the fretboard. So just kind of run it along the slot here. Yeah, this unthinned, this should actually work pretty well. Get it all in there, and luckily Titebond has a longer working time than something like hide glue, so we don't have to race too much. There we go, we have glue in the slot. Just put in your piece of Padauk now, push it down. There we go, glue squeeze out. Looks good. Now that the glue has dried, I want to trim the Padauk veneer as close to the fretboard as possible. The rest that is left over, after using a chisel to trim it back, will be taken off with some sandpaper. After you've trimmed the tops of the Padauk veneers, you can now go ahead and trim the sides. And I just use scissors to get as close as possible. And then just trim that off. And from there, you can take it down later. I'm now going to work at getting these Padauk lines on the top flush with the fretboard top. This radius on this fretboard is pretty flat, so we don't have to worry too much about that right now. We're just getting the Padauk lines flush with the top of the fretboard. Make sure you're aware of any low spot on the fretboard. Right here you can see where the sandpaper hasn't touched the fretboard yet. It's been sanding this portion down and sanding here. So that precision block isn't hitting right here, so I think there's a bit of a scoop going on. So I'll have to take this down to get that scoop out. I've just put some super glue on the top of every single one of the new Padauk veneers. The reason for this is to fill any voids and just make sure that the Padauk is properly seated in there. It's just a fail-safe, really. I'll now take the sanding block and sand it all back down to the fretboard, and you won't notice any of the super glue after that. I've got a straight edge along the neck here, and I'm just checking the neck for flatness before I do the final sanding of the fingerboard. The whole fingerboard has now been leveled. I'm going to put a little bit of oil and wax on this and then assemble the base again. Hey everyone, if you like these videos, hit that subscribe button, that like button. Thanks for watching.